very good afternoon and welcome to your lunchtime news on MTVsports. I'm Shanali De Silva. As always, let's start off with a look at your headlines. Postal voting for the provincial council elections commences today. 2 separate shooting incidents from Kandy and Harispattua. Election violence on the rise. Assad warns US against attack on Syria. And now for those news in detail. The casting of postal votes for the Northern, Northwestern and Central Provincial Council polls commenced this morning. Deputy Elections Commissioner M. Mohammed said that postal voting would take place tomorrow as well.
111,333 voters are qualified to cast postal votes for the provincial council polls, which are to be held on the 21st of this month. Deputy Election Commissioner M. Mohammed said arrangements had been made for these voters to cast their ballot from their workplaces. Arrangements have also been made for those who are unable to cast their postal ballots today or tomorrow to do so on the 12th, 13th and 14th instead. Deputy Election Commissioner M. Mohammed said that such voters will be able to cast their ballot on these days after visiting the district election office during office hours and confirming their identity.
An unidentified group has shot at the residence of United People's Freedom Alliance supporter in Levalle, Kandy.
An unidentified group had shot at the residence of UPFA supporter Janaka Gamini Ratna at about 3 a.m. today in Levalle, Kandy. Gamini Ratna is a supporter of UPFA candidate for the Central Provincial Council, Tilina Bandara Tennakun.
The previous day, a group came outside my house and shouted threateningly. I did not come outside. Then they shot in the air and fired twice at the house. It is people within our own party that have done this, not people from the opposition.
The
police say that no one was harmed in the incident. Meanwhile, an unidentified group fired at the office of a UPFA Central Provincial Council candidate in Yativabala Harispattua early this morning.
While we were sleeping, we heard a vehicle suddenly stop here. While we were looking on, they started shooting. They fired twice. We couldn't identify the vehicle.
A public rally organized by the UPFA was held in Vilgoda, Kurunagala yesterday. Speaking at the event, Minister of Cooperatives and Internal Trade, Johnston Fernando, expressed the following views.
Since morning I have been attending meetings and visiting villages, and then after 9 p.m. I speak to about 4,000 to 5,000 people at home. We feed these people who come to our home until about 4:30 or 5 in the morning, and people say that we are holding a dansala for them. They said this about the president as well, saying he was holding a dansala at Temple Grace. Since the past, whenever people have visited our home at meal times, we have fed them. Now they are slinging mud at us. Well, sometimes the mudslinging happens from within our party.
In related news, a meeting organized by the Democratic Party was held in the Ganangamo area in Migalava yesterday under the auspices of party leader Sarath Fonseca.
2 so-called powerful political parties have governed this country. 200 to 300 politicians from these 2 so-called powerful parties have governed this country. In the end, they have all brought the same fate upon this country. Although they make nonsensical statements about how our country is a wonder, the people do not receive any of this. The people have no benefits. They do not know how the people are feeding themselves. They do not know that tomorrow your children will be eating rice and snake good.
China's senior Communist Party leader, a member of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee, and the Secretary of the Secretariat of the CPC Central Committee, Liu Yanshan, arrived in the island on a 2-day official visit last night.
Liu Yunshan is scheduled to meet President Mahinda Rajapaksa, Prime Minister D.M. Jayaratne, Minister of Economic Development Basil Rajapaksa, Minister of Health Maithripala Sirisena and other high-ranking officials of the Sri Lankan government. The Information Department of the government stated that bilateral agreements are to be signed during this official visit.
In more local news, the police said that information has come to light that the recent double murder of a mother and daughter in the Kuda Oya area in Valavaya was due to a land dispute.
The victims are an 85-year-old mother and her daughter aged 58. The post-mortem examination into the murders of the mother and daughter revealed that the victims were raped and then strangled. The police media unit said that a special team attached to the Valavaya police has been appointed to carry out investigations in this regard. No arrests have been made in connection with the brutal double murder.
One person was killed in a road accident that occurred in the Thambalagamo area on the Kantale-Trincomalee road this morning.
The accident occurred when a van travelling at high speed veered off the road. The deceased was the driver of the van, a 32-year-old resident of Van Ella. His body is currently lying at the mortuary of the Kantale Base Hospital.
The University Grants Commission says that it hopes to release the cut-off marks for the university entrance within the first 2 weeks of October. Chairman of the UGC, Professor Shanika Hiriburegama, said that the cut-off marks would be released for students who have qualified for the university entrance following the 2012 advanced level examinations.
We hope to release the cut-off marks for university entrance within the first 2 weeks of October. Arrangements are also being made with the Ministry of Higher Education for the leadership training program. Because of the delay, we have a problem regarding hostel facilities at the university, but we hope to rectify these issues soon. A large sculpture designed by prehistoric man has been found on the Nidangala mountain in Kirimatia, Haldamulla. The find was made by a group of researchers from the Department of Postgraduate Archaeological Studies at the University of Kelaniya, led by Professor Raj Somadeva. Speaking to Newsfirst, Professor Somadeva noted that the sculpture has been made using a natural rock face.
It is very clear that this rock formation is artificial. Also, our photographs show the manner in which these people had attempted to add features like a nose and mouth. We haven't been able to determine a clear time frame yet, but this sculpture we found in Nidankanda and a previous sculpted stone head that we found clearly show us that from ancient times prehistoric people had the ability. There is a hole in the forehead which we think may have been used for some rite. Also, it has been sculpted in such a way that the head is facing the mountain. This clearly shows us that from prehistoric times, people that resided here had a knack for sculpture, and this will go a long way towards understanding our history.
And that concludes your lunchtime news for today. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Shanali De Silva. Have a pleasant day.